Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week. So keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose. Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. You can follow us on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod. But if Twitter X isn't your thing, we've made a big push lately to put more content onto our other social media channels. So Instagram is starting to get more traffic its way. Facebook is really getting a lot more traffic this way. So if you're more a Facebooker or an Instagrammer, make sure you're following the ThunderCast on those platforms as well. I'm pretty sure, Facebook is its own thing. You just find the page and follow it. But I'm pretty sure we're ThunderCast_pod on Instagram as well. But there's a lot of graphics and things like that are getting posted over there. We're trying to keep everybody more in the loop on those avenues as well. So if you're over there, follow us, like, share, all that kind of stuff, because those social media platforms are starting to gain a lot of traction. It's been a super busy week, unbelievably, in herd athletics once again. We're going to get some things for you. We're going to get you around the herd with a lot of news. It's KD and it's Russ back with you once again. We're going the OG crew one more time. So we've got a whole lot to get into. Russ, it's great to be back with you for one more week, for another week. So I want to get into this episode. I've been looking forward to it for a while. So much information's come across the airwaves this week. But you know how it goes. We can't do any of it without a word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
Well, what are the things looking like this week?
Well, I'll tell you, we've got, let's see here, it's not a true 5. We have 7 things that we're going to go over. But I do want to go ahead and give a little precursor to say, for those of you that listen to the things and then say, I don't have time for Around the Herd or whatever, you're going to want to listen to the Around the Herd segment, because we've got a lot of stuff about some breaking recruits that have been coming in even today in football. So make sure you stick around for that and hit the entire episode. But I'm ready to give us, man, I got really pumped with that thunderclap going right into the new song and the intro and everything. I'm on the jazz, man. So I'm ready to get into these 5 things. Brought to you by ignite.link.
And now, here are at least 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by ignite.link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team.
All right, KD, we're going to start off. This one broke just today. Jack Betts of track and field and Abby Bull of women's golf received postgraduate scholarships from the Sun Belt Conference for $4,500 each. Marshall was the only SBC school with multiple recipients.
So not that getting a scholarship isn't cool enough or big enough of an honor. It's just a pat on the back, I think, to the Marshall Athletic Department that they can go, hey, we've got multiple deserving athletes across multiple sports on both sides of our men's and women's program. So a little bit of love all the way around. Congratulations to Jack Betts. Congratulations to Abby Bull. But also congratulations to Marshall Athletics for being the only school to get more than one recipient this year. That's pretty freaking sweet.
It's very good. And, I can't remember who got this last year and how many years in a row that we've had someone. I don't know how many the Sun Belt gives out, if they have to give one to each school or if it's like a certain number and 10 get it or what. I just can't remember. And I didn't do a lot of research into last year before, that sort of thing. But knowing that we were the only one that got to, like you said, that's just really, really putting a shine on our student athletes. And earlier this summer, we got into all the spring GPA records that were set, and the comprehensive average of everybody just being higher than it ever had been. Second straight spring semester, I believe that has happened. So it just really shows you, and you use this word a lot, but it is a differentiator, and our student athletes are predominantly going to go professional in something else other than the sport that they're playing while they're here. And also, they are not just here for sports, they're here to get an education. So it's really cool to see these postgraduate scholarships and allow them to further their education in preparation for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, number 2, Romina Olmedo, goalkeeper of women's soccer, has been called up to play for the Uruguay national team for the 2 upcoming games in the, I don't know if this is an acronym or people say it as a word. I'm going to say CONMEBOL, Women's Nations League. I'm sure someone listening is probably Coach Rafa is right now doubled over in pain at at me butchering this, but yeah, CONMEBOL, and
Rafa has fallen out of his chair.
Yeah,
and we'll give
be
him an
like,
opportunity
this
here.
idiot, what's he doing?
We'll give him an opportunity here at some point when we inevitably try to track him down for a season preview for women's soccer. We'll give that a call back to this particular episode, and he'll give us a, by the way, that's called
yeah.
But so we saw this a little bit last week. We talked about it with the men's team. Now we're seeing it with the women's team. The international call up is pretty freaking sweet. And when do I not sound like a broken record when we talk about women's soccer?
I know, man.
It really feels like the cusp is, they're not even on. I guess they are on the cusp because the season hasn't played out yet with the expectations that I feel like many of the players and coaches have for themselves. So when that season comes to an end, and if we are where we think we should be, then we'll be able to look back at this and go, see, we really were on the cusp. But man, it just feels like they're about to ignite this rocket ship under women's soccer. And all of these little individual data points, the call up, the this, the that, the commitments from like a U20 national team or something like that, all point to that, man. It's all data points. And if you connect enough of those dots, you too will buy into this women's soccer program and what we think is about to happen here in 2026, man. Just the latest thing you can point to and go, it's another thing. It's about to happen.
Well, I've got more to discuss with that later in the things with you. But right now, number 3, the game theme has been announced for the homecoming game on September 26th against Gardner-Webb. It was already announced as a 3:30 kickoff. We know it will be a Stripe the Stadium theme now. Fans will wear Kelly green or white depending on their section. Ford will be the game sponsor. There will be ticket promos and events for families and alumni associations. It's both alumni weekend, obviously, with homecoming, but particularly for alumni associations. And then it's also family weekend. So should have a packed crowd, and I'll get your reaction. And then I have the sections. They've just gone ahead and set them now.
Good.
How easy is that they've already set it? So talk about this game theme and anything about that game, and then I'll chime in, or you can chime in with the sections.
Well, I think number one, if you're going to do a Stripe the Stadium, homecoming makes sense because it's going to probably be a very well-attended game, and Stripe the Stadium just doesn't look good if it's not a well-attended game. But along with that, that puts a lot of responsibility on you to wear the correct corresponding color. But huge shout out to putting the freaking sections out now, because it's June. So you have no excuse to not get yourself a white shirt or a green shirt or a black shirt or whatever they're doing. Go down and see our buddy. If you're local, go down and see our pal Brett Riffey at the Stadium Store and get yourself some fresh new gear, man. Like, they got some sweet stuff in there. You get to even get that little, I don't know, chill, the little electric shock that goes through you just being on the west lot and seeing the Joan and all that stuff. You can really start to get in in the zone for game day. But 3:30 is par for the course for homecoming. So many alumni events and things in the evenings
Mhm.
and dinners, par for the course.
Mhm.
It's never going to be a 7 o'clock kick. So if you're bummed about that, there's no reason to be. I dig the idea of putting the sections out now. Give people
Mhm.
plenty of opportunity to do it. I said this last week, just kind of in passing with Jed. If you're still rocking the forest green shirt,
Yeah,
go get a
man.
Kelly shirt, man. Again, you're a Herd fan. You deserve it. You
Yeah.
deserve some fresh gear, right? So go pop for some. Go pop for a fresh piece of gear for yourself or two, you know. And before I turn this over to you, alumni associations. Let's just talk about that real quick. Join the Marshall Alumni Association. It's not
Yeah.
very expensive to do so. If you're a member of a fraternity or a sorority or something like that, reach back out to those chapters and become involved in that in an alumni capacity. It doesn't mean you have to go to chapter meetings and start organizing stuff, but you can tailgate together and you can do things that are social together and reunite at homecoming and all that cool stuff. So look into that if you're at that stage of your life, you feel like rekindling some of those connections. Homecoming's a great time to do that, man. It's a super great time to do that.
And those alumni associations, I'm in the Huntington chapter here, and they meet monthly, and actually taking July off because it's right after the golf tournament, which we're going to talk about pretty soon. It's at the end of June. And, I had a couple of people from that event planning, had them on here. But we just got a couple of scholarships, several scholarships for people, and that was through the alumni association and the events that they do. And the golf tournament, is one of those. It raises money, and that money goes toward scholarships, and that just entrenches Marshall into these recipients. It makes them feel more involved, and they're likely to get involved with an alumni association as a recipient of a scholarship like that. They came and interviewed for it, that sort of thing. These are really good things to do. If you're in Charlotte, there's one. If you're in Myrtle Beach area, there's one. If you're in Atlanta, there's one. Up in the DC area, there's one. Lexington, there's one. If you are around somewhere, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati has one. If you are around an area and you want to know, reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with the people and say, here is the closest chapter to you. I think there's one down there in the Tampa area.
There is. It's Tampa,
Um,
Clearwater, and St. Pete. Run by
yeah,
some dudes that we know pretty well.
yeah. So if you're somewhere and you're saying, well, there's not one around me, well, I've got great news for you. You can start one. And you don't have to have money to do it or anything like that. You just say, hey, I would like to there's some other herd fans in this area. I would just like a little bit of help reaching out to them, because I don't know them. I've seen them in passing. I've seen them at some watch parties and things like that, but I don't have their email or whatever. Great. If it's on file with Marshall's Alumni Association or Foundation, they'll help organize it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really, really cool thing to do. And how cool would it be for you to start one in your area? Because you say, hey, I'm over here in, I don't know, I'll use Richmond, Virginia, Chesapeake area, somewhere through there. And you say, I would really like to get one organized. Great. All we need's one more than you,
Mm-hmm.
and then we start from there and reach out to some other people and we promote it and try to get more. And then when you're ready to go, have watch parties, have events, have golf tournaments, things like that, you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
The coalfields, Southern coalfields, they're crushing it. Mike Gwynn, who we know, him, Doug Lieber, and a whole bunch of guys down there just do things all throughout the year as the alumni association, and it keeps them in touch. And then again, like you said, when they come in for homecoming, well, they've got their tailgate ready to go because they're going to throw it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, enough about that. Sorry, you and I both got off on that, but it was a really good thing to do. I want to run over these sections. Fans in section 101, 102, 103, 106, 107, 108, 111, 112, 116, 122, 126, and 128 should wear white. If you did not hear your number called, you're wearing Kelly green. It's that simple. I can run through those. I shouldn't have to. You're either white or green. You can also find this on herdzone.com. You can find it on all the social media places. If you're following Marshall, they put out a great graphic for it. Already shows you the Joan, the way it should be striped. And the final thing I'm going to say is if you're not wearing Kelly green or you're not wearing white in those sections, shame on you. It's June. You've got 3+ months now to get that. And hey, man, I don't care if you don't have a white Marshall shirt. I know you have a white shirt. Wear it instead. Yes, you can go buy a shirt. You may say, hey, I don't have it in the budget. It is much better to just wear white in that section, even if it's not a Marshall shirt. If it's a plain white t-shirt, get it. Go get one from Michael's for $5 or whatever. Get as close to a Kelly green as you can. If it's not in your budget, wear Kelly green, wear white, make it look really good. Do your part.
Yeah, make it look good. Make it look good. Stripe the stadium looks really sweet inside the zone if it's filled out and people are participating.
Yeah, I have where I'm recording right now. Downstairs has the Stripe the Stadium panoramic overhead shot from Virginia Tech, and that looks so good, so good. And we should do that and then some here for this homecoming game. All right, number 4, 2 new football coaches have been officially announced, though they have been with the team for some time. We reported new defensive line coach and running game coordinator Anthony Leonard back in March to replace the departing Ralph Street. And Daron Wilson was a defensive quality control coach last season that has now been elevated to outside linebackers coach. That just came out either today or yesterday that it was officially announced, but they've already been out there. They've been recruiting. We saw Anthony Leonard mentioned several times for this transfer class that came in. So they've been doing their work for quite some time.
Yeah, so some fans may see that announcement and go, "Oh, we hired new coaches." Well, I mean, you did, but it happened a while ago, you know. And Daron was on staff last year, so these are not new hires. This is an elevation. Anthony Leonard is new to the program. Of course, that was a quick turnaround after Ralph took the job with Cleveland. And I had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Anthony and talk and get to know him a little bit and his story and his journey to Marshall. And I mean, I didn't get any inside info that I can break news to anybody here, but I can say he feels pretty good about the room that they got. And I think that's a testament to a couple of things. It's player development under Ralph Street. It's that he walked into a pretty good situation, that he also knows how to coach the hell out of a defensive line, and that he's recruiting really well. And they retain some of those players, and they expect to make some big leaps. So this is going to sound like a little bit of a slight, but it's not a slight. When you lose a coach like Ralph Street, and we knew what Ralph was like, it doesn't really feel like this Herd defensive line should lose much, if any, of a step from a production standpoint, right? And yeah, we're a little bit biased because Ralph's a Herd guy, man. He's a Mac era guy, just like we are,
Right.
So, and he hated to see him go, but I've got a lot of faith in what Ant Leonard is going to do to the defensive line and the defensive ends, and also coupling that with the run game coordinator role. That's pretty unique. Defensive coach in a run game role. It's not unheard of, but it's pretty unique here for the Herd. But
I'm seeing more of that a lot. And, you would see, and I'm not talking about with Marshall, I'm talking about across the country when you see hires that someone would be like a defensive back specialist, but also the passing game coordinator, things like that, because they have to know how to defend the pass. So they are very in tune. It's kind of the same thing as his job is to have his guys disrupt the line of scrimmage and shut down the running game is one of the big tasks. So he knows about the running game. But I can tell you, too, that he was also very, very confident in our food at the tailgate for the spring game.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
he was able to come out after the game, and we had kind of pumped that up to him, and he agreed it lived up to expectations.
It always does. Always
Yeah,
does. I know
yeah.
people tend to look at us a certain way when we start talking about barbecue, and they're like, all
Mhm.
right, well, okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Darius Watts, we're looking at you.
well,
You remember that? He was
oh
like,
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, I said, you'll have to come out and everything. And he looked at me and was like, who's cooking?
yeah.
Like, I was like, hey, man, trust me.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
don't season with water. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like it's
yeah.
actually good.
We're not gonna have boiled chicken. I promise. All right. Moving on. Number 5, women's soccer announces their 2026 schedule. There will be 11 home games, including an exhibition game with Delaware on August the 9th. Home games for the regular season are Morehead State, August 13th, Ohio, August 16th, Wright State, August 23rd, Murray State, September the 3rd, Glenville State, September the 10th. And then the conference home games, La Tech, September 19th, JMU, September the 27th. More on that in just a second. Georgia Southern, October the 4th, ULM, October the 11th, and finally App State, October 25th. The Herd plays West Virginia again this year. Last year was the first time, maybe since, what was that, 20 years, something like that?
Oh, that was wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But they play them again this year, and it's on the road, and it's September the 6th. And we should note, anyone in town for Marshall football games, catch the women's soccer games the day after homecoming, that 9:27 game. Again, more on that in a minute. And the day after the Coastal Carolina game, October the 11th, is also. So if you're in, make it a weekend. Stay over, have brunch, tailgate, go to women's soccer.
Yeah, cheap fun and fun for
Yeah.
women's soccer. I've been to a couple of matches of women's soccer, and they were fun without expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the caliber of what you're going to see on the pitch this year is going to be more than notched up. I think we're looking at several notches above where we were just a few seasons ago. So I would definitely encourage people, if they're going to do like homecoming, make a weekend out of it. That's absolutely what you should do.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun. You can squeeze a lot of herd into a weekend for 2 weekends this football season if you make either one of those games or both. But I don't know, pretty decent matchup. I think you always put a circle around like James Madison, and it sucks to go on the road again against West Virginia, but there's some good home matches there, and I think that one in particular will be one to watch, and it falls on the homecoming weekend, so you can make an impact at the Vet for our women if you cash in and make a weekend out of it.
Well, if you like that, number 6 is going to make you like that weekend even more. Men's soccer also announced their schedule for the season. They also begin the season with an exhibition on August the 9th, but they'll actually be on the road versus Seton Hall. They have their home exhibition will be the next week, August 15th. Their other home games are VCU, September the 6th, Utah Valley, September the 11th, Eastern Illinois, September 22nd. The Mountain State Derby versus WVU is on 9/27. Let's stop right here.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this because when the football schedule came out, I heard a lot of people saying, homecoming in September?
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah, because you think it's October, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, we had a Tuesday game, so I know why it wasn't on the 20th. But what about that Coastal game on October the 10th? It seemed like the natural time to have it. Brother, I'm thinking this might be why that they had that.
Yeah.
And if you think about how many people that can come in for homecoming, and you just go, hey, just stick around the next day, you're going to want to. You have an epic homecoming weekend. You do your Friday night thing, you do your Saturday tailgate, and then the Saturday game, and you go out afterwards, and you have the homecoming events afterwards. You wake up the next day, and I just said you're going to have brunch, tailgate, and go to this. Well, after that women's soccer game, WVU is going to be in town. It's going to be standing room only. It might be the game that decides the regular season in the conference. This entire weekend is looking epic. September 26th and 27th.
Yeah. So here's the thing is that season tickets are already in the works, going on, like renewals and that type of thing for men's soccer. And if you don't renew, your tickets are going to get snatched up. So you better do that. They're going to get snatched up. And then when you think about a football game, and then everybody that will most likely renew their season tickets, how few tickets will be available for that game, that match. I mean, I would think maybe less than 5 to 10% of the football attendance that is not a season ticket holder would be able to get a ticket to that game or to that match. The other thing you want to do is try to flood the damn place with Kelly Green. You don't want a lot of blue and gold in there, you know?
Right.
So this is absolute. This reminds me of a few years ago when we had Virginia Tech. We had UCF later that night, and that was unreal. That was an unreal atmosphere. And this is going to go even higher because it's the Mountain State Derby, right? This is undoubtedly going to be a ranked match, maybe a top 10, top 5 match at the time. Who knows, man? This could have national implications. Could have NCAA tournament seeding implications. It really doesn't get any bigger than this, and it's continually wild to me to think the epicenter of collegiate soccer is in the state of West Virginia, but it is.
Yeah.
This one matters, and it doesn't just matter because of who the opponent is. It matters because it'll be a ranked opponent that could also settle the conference, that could also determine seeding. I mean, it doesn't hurt that it's West Virginia because, and whatever they may say, it also doesn't hurt that it's also Marshall on their side.
Right.
They want to beat us too.
Right.
So, man, that weekend just got way better, way better. Get yourself prepared. Get your fresh gear, get your tickets. Buy as soon as tickets to men's soccer and women's soccer go on sale to the public that day, you better buy your tickets. They will not be there. They will not be there past that hour, I would imagine.
Final 3 home games to go over: Georgia Southern, October the 9th, JMU, October 21st, and Old Dominion on November the 3rd. But yeah, man, we have said everything that we can about that weekend. We're going to talk about it a lot more as it comes up. But you have 3.5 months right now to go ahead and make your plans. You want to come in for homecoming, but you might as well go ahead and call off on Monday, take a vacation day on that, make Sunday the extended part of homecoming. Still try to get in for Friday. Do your stuff on Friday. Do your stuff on Saturday. On everything at the Joan. Sunday. Hell, we don't know it yet, but there could be some volleyball going on. Maybe some fall ball, baseball, or softball that you could go watch too. It's going to be an epic weekend, and we're going to be talking about it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, remember, like I said, a couple of years ago, I came in and was there for the Virginia Tech and the soccer game. I went to swim and dive. I caught a little volleyball.
That's right, swim and dive.
Like I went to 5 different Marshall events that weekend because I went to women's soccer on Sunday, and then as I was leaving, I wasn't even planning on it, but they were scrimmaging at the dot, so I stopped and watched softball for a little bit.
That's
it was an unreal weekend, and it could shape up. I bet it would be encouraged to, like, hey, if you guys can do something that Sunday, do something that Sunday, you know. But man, be ready, set your alerts, be watching for if you're not signed up for like Herd Zone emails, you might want to get notified to start getting those and get yourself ready and setting alerts for soccer tickets going on sale and all that stuff. Because I'm telling you, you're not going to have days to decide if you want to do it or not. You're going to have hours, if not minutes, to get those tickets secured. That's how fast the Mountain State Derby sells out. And being that it's on homecoming weekend, it's going to go even faster. So don't say we didn't warn you.
All right, our 7th and final thing, Phil Steele has come out with his annual college football preview. He had quite a few Marshall players on his preseason All Sunbelt Conference teams. Let's go over those real quick. For first team, he had quarterback Carlos Del Rio Wilson, tight end Toby Payne, wide receiver Adrian Norton, offensive lineman Jalen Slappy, and safety Daytwan Wody Smith. Second team, he had linebackers Jave Gilmore and Jalen Marshall. And for the special teams of that, they had him as a kick returner, Xavion Turner Bradshaw. For the third team, he had defensive end Braden Moore, defensive tackle McKalen Warren, and offensive tackle Tariq Montgomery.
A lot of guys. A lot of respect from Phil Steele. He's a guy that I obviously respect a lot, his opinion and his rankings, because he dives deep. He
talks to everybody.
As many as I think I saw the tweet that he got to actually talk to there's like 138 teams now or something like that.
Yeah, they added two, maybe it was 136 last year. I think it's 138 now.
Yeah, and I want to say that he talked to over 130, I think it was, which is a new record for him, you know?
Yeah.
So he spends just as much time on, I won't say like Alabama as he does Marshall, but he spends more time on Marshall than other national publications do. He's a guy whose research I really respect. And if he's if he's this high on a lot of Marshall guys, I think we got something to prove this year. You know, I mean, you can't just point to one data point and go, okay, because Phil Steele said so, we got something to prove. But he's saying, hey, I respect what you got returning. I have expectations on what you did last year and what I project you to do this year. Even some guys that we may not have expected, like Jalen Marshall, for example, a second teamer. Jave Gilmore doesn't surprise me, but, you know, McKalen Warren from a defensive tackle spot getting that nod at third team. I mean, dude, that's big time stuff. CDRW doesn't surprise me. Norton Payne, Slappy, none of that surprises me, right? Even Wody doesn't surprise me. But it's those second and third teamer guys that he's like, hey, you guys got somebody here, you know? This is your first glimpse into what, of course, we will be deep diving into coming up real soon in position group breakdowns. But this is a very, very optimistic thing for this early in the season, because it's been a while since Phil has honored the herd in this way. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, and I think that you know, not to disparage him, but the way the game went last year was really a kind of a step back, and it was at the same time that, you know, Marshall had to replace so many and stuff like that. But there were mistakes that he had, like players listed at two different positions, things like that. And I thought, you know, maybe it's finally caught up to Phil because of the nature of when he has to get this out. And there was he's done all this prep, and then there was a spring transfer portal and people left and things. And I thought this might be the end or the beginning of the end. And then I've not been able to see the entire thing. You know, I've seen this part, but it just seemed like where they got rid of the spring transfer portal, now it's back in Phil's wheelhouse where he can do what Phil Steele has done for decades, right? So I think that this is good, but I think we're also going to see some people on here at the end of the year that he didn't have listed that will at least make second team or honorable mention or something like that, or even first team all conference. Because once we start getting into who we brought in and things like that, I think we got some diamonds in the rough, some studs, and I cannot wait to do this position group breakdown to go over those.
I would agree. I have perused the book. I'm not reading cover to cover because I don't care about everybody.
Washington,
but there are some things. You know, like one of my favorite things he does is he also ranks the position groups not only nationally but within the conference.
In the conference, yeah.
So Marshall was snubbed out of the number one spot in a couple of places. And I'm not telling tales out of school here because, you know, you get the book, you can see the book. But Marshall was snubbed. It comes in at number 2 in a couple of places, a couple of key areas. Here's the rub. They're number 1. because the number one team is an error listed as Texas State. So Texas State's not in the Sun Belt anymore. They don't fall in his standings. They're not in a they don't have a team page in the Sun Belt. They're in the Pac-12 portion of the book. So Marshall's actually number one in a couple of key areas, and that's a big data point that we will get into in position group breakdowns. So pretty high praise. That's just a little misnomer there for a remnant from a year ago that didn't get deleted. But I was surprised. I was surprised to see him that high on the herd, particularly in these areas. And I'll leave it at that until we get there.
JD, we're going to have a little bit more about that position group breakdown series in the close of this episode. But speaking of closing, that closes out our 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week, as always, brought to you by ignite.link. All right, let's take this around the herd because we've got a lot of signings to go over for several different athletic programs.
And now, Layer 1 Solutions, your experts in business connectivity infrastructure, takes you around the herd.
All right, we're going to start off with track and field. We got some local flavor in signings announced this week. Isaiah Zeke Hagley from Fraser's Bottom was the first announced signing. He was a thrower. He was a Cabell Midland, by the way. He did shot put and discus there. But he was a thrower at U-Pike down in Pikeville last few years. Now he's transferred back home to be with the herd. Later in the week, Carter Gevecki of Huntington High School, and Rachel Withrow of Winfield, who's actually a transfer from Bowling Green, were announced as signing. They're both runners or jumpers or something, definitely not in the throwing category like Mr. Hagley was.
Yeah, it looked like maybe a couple of distance runners.
Yeah,
and of course Zeke Hagley, but 304 athletes coming back to rep the herd in one of the most consistently great programs that we've got going right now across several disciplines and across both halves of the program. I mean, dang, man, you love to hear it. You love to see it. Homegrown talent coming back to the herd to help us compete in the Sun Belt in a rising program. It doesn't get no better than that.
Yep. Women's soccer also got a signing. Smilla Rain, Rehn, from Stockholm, Sweden, has signed with the herd. And I'm going to attempt to pronounce this same as I did in 5 things. Hope that I can do it a little bit and not sound like the Swedish chef. But she played for Brahma Poikarna, and I looked that up to see if that was close, and that's about as close as I can get for the 19-year-old female team there in Sweden. But international flair, the same as the men, same as the women's the last couple of years. They seem to be getting the top talent from all these different places. So it just continues for the Thundering Raffas, as you call them.
Yeah, and they're on a hot streak. The recruiting might have cooled for like a week, but here we are right back on it again. And of course, when you're dealing with international times and dates and time zones, who knows what timeline you're actually on. So did it really cool or did it stay hot? And we just had to wait for some ink to dry and some things to work its way out. But dude, they have been super hot on recruiting. Like so many of our programs, volleyball, women's soccer, men's soccer, and now football is starting to heat up.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't work the same way as American basketball, American football with college recruiting. And, it's announced the ink's barely even dry on the commitment papers or, well, I guess, this is a signing instead. But a lot of these international, I know that we had people that weren't shown as on the roster, but they'd been here for a couple of months. They were just waiting on the time that they could be announced as on the roster because it's just a different animal. It's a different ballgame. But let's get into something that should, and this is as of about an hour ago. I haven't checked in the last hour. And while I'm going over these, if you would do your little thing there and check. But although it can change by the day or even by the hour. Had a couple more today. Marshall football has 6 new commits for the 2027 season. 6'1", 195-pound linebacker Romello Perry out of Huguenot High School in Richmond, Virginia. He had offers from East Carolina, Liberty, Coastal, and ODU, amongst others. 6'4", 275-pound offensive tackle James Payne from GW High School in Charleston. He had offers from ETSU, EKU, and both of those at the FCS level, but then also at the FBS level, Liberty. And big thing about him, which he's got a little bit to go here, but was also a state champion heavyweight wrestler. So, that just plays so well on the offensive line. You know, everything there is about leverage and strength and explosiveness that you need as a wrestler, balance, you've got that in spades to translate over to the offensive line. That always plays, trust me.
Also a first team 4A All-Stater as a junior.
Yeah.
So not just a wrestler and a decent offensive lineman, already a 4A All-Stater, first team All-Stater with the senior season still to go.
With the season to go. Another offensive tackle, 6'5", 290-pound, Landon Moore, Princeton High School in West Virginia, chose Marshall over 8 other D1 teams, including WVU and Oklahoma State. So his offer list had those 2 up there. That's going to draw some eyes.
Yeah, it feels like these 2 guys, particularly Landon Moore and James Payne, are probably 2 of the top 3 offensive linemen in the state, I would imagine. With that, I don't know when those rankings come out or if they will. 24/7 used to be great about that, but now like On3 is the main driver in recruiting, and I just haven't looked. I don't know if they do that sort of thing, if they state rank.
Think, and you can look this up too while I'm reading these off, but I think Landon Moore had a post that is pinned, and that it was also in his profile blurb on Twitter that he was the number 1 offensive lineman in West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I would like. Where did you say it was? That
on Landon Moore's Twitter.
No. Did it say like the On3 number 1? Or?
I think it was On3. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna check while you're reading then.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next one. 6 foot. We had a lot of linebackers in this. 6 foot, 205-pound linebacker Colin Durning from Prince Avenue Christian in Bogart, Georgia. And then 6 foot, 215-pound linebacker Jackson Connor, goes by the nickname of Joker, from Indian Land High School in Fort Mill, South Carolina, had offers from 11 FCS schools as well as UAB, Jacksonville State, Army, Air Force, and Appalachian State. And then 6'1", 195-pound defensive back / athlete Joe Tesoriero is how I'm going to pronounce that. Joe, if you're watching, listening, I know you've been following for a while. Please send us something and tell us how to not butcher your name. We're really big on getting people's names right, but I'm going to say Tesoriero from Lake Brantley High School in Florida. He had 25 D1 offers. Let me say that again, and I'm sure he's going to get some more offers, but 25 D1 offers. But listen to this, including some Ivy League schools: Brown, Dartmouth, Penn, Princeton, and Yale. 5 of the 8, he had offers. So now you have to believe his GPA is higher than his 4.46 impressive 40 time. Also had offers from all 3 service academies: Air Force, Army, and Navy, plus Liberty, FAU, Bowling Green, Georgia State, Pittsburgh, and Boston College. So a lot of big offers there.
Golly, I'll say.
And then finally, 6 foot, 196-pound linebacker / safety Corey Fields from Frederick Douglass High School in Lexington, Kentucky. We're very familiar with that program and the coaches that are there. Had offers from Louisville, Southern Miss, Ohio, and UTSA. Those last 2 were announced here today, or the last couple of days. We picked up pretty much all of these, but they're coming in. Wouldn't be shocked by the time this episode publishes tomorrow morning. It's currently 7:15 on Wednesday night. I wouldn't be shocked that there's a couple more that comes rolling in by the time you listen to this or watch this.
Yeah, they've been on a hot streak. It was a big official visit weekend this weekend, so it doesn't surprise me at all that they were able to turn some of those visits into commitments. There are still some out there, especially some quarterbacks that are heavily rumored to be heard to be the favorite to land them. And of course, who knows, right? Who knows that? But I did manage to find the On3 recruiting site, by the way, and they don't really, you have to do a little sifting to break it down you basically have to search by state and year. And there's only 5 players listed under the state of West Virginia right now. There's 3 offensive linemen and 2 wide receivers. And James Payne and Landon Moore are indeed 2 of the top 3. It looks like, according to this site, the On3 or the rival site, because they're paired up or whatever, they're 2 and 3. So there's somebody else out of University High School that is committed to Virginia Tech that is the number 1 in the state, according to rivals / On3. But anyway, 2 out of the top 3 right now, cruising with the herd. Love it, man. In-state offensive line talent, particularly, love it, man. I love all that stuff. They have been crushing in-state recruiting since Tony Gibson got here. And, of course, this weekend doesn't show any signs of slowing that trend right now.
So Landon Moore's profile, now that I'm not reading off the recruits that signed, I think his was from 24/7 is what he had on here. But he also made a post that he is listed as the 97th best inside or interior offensive lineman in the country. And then right below that in May, you can find a video. If you're over on Twitter, you can go to his profile. Landon, Landyn Moore is how you look him up. 675-pound squat in a video. So we got a guy that's pushing around 675 pounds on a squat, and you got another guy that's a wrestler that won the heavyweight state title. So that looks like some strength, explosiveness. Makes you really, really look forward to the next couple of years with those guys.
You can tell the emphasis that Gibson and this staff is putting on linemen, particularly, and linebackers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising.
Right.
Tony Gibson eats, sleeps, and breathes linebacker play, and does it. He coaches it better than. I don't know how many are better than him in the country, honestly. So for that to be a coveted position, not surprising.
But you're also seeing all these high GPAs in their profiles and their recruiting profiles and their things. And then 5 Ivy League offers by a defensive back. I mean, that's going to play anywhere, man, when you've got the intelligence and everything and just the retainability and all that. It's definitely a trait that is not overlooked by coaches. So really, really happy so far early in this season with what we've been able to do. But KD, that does it for Around the Herd, and thanks to our friends at Layer 1 Solutions for bringing that to us.
Yeah, awesome. Around the Herd, so much chock full with, man, planning an epic homecoming weekend, getting you a little bit of football flavor and juiced up and ready for recruiting. Oh, great Around the Herd.
So let's talk just a second. I want you to hit us off with this, but let's talk and give a slight little preview about what we have coming up and how soon that is with the position group breakdown series.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon. Like maybe by the time some of you get around to watching this one, you might have your first taste of position group breakdowns also. And of course, there is nobody that does position group breakdowns like we do it at the ThunderCast. We have been doing it since the advent of our show. And we dig deeper than nobody else does it to bring you, the fans, the best information that we can get you around this 2026 herd. And of course, by now, if you're with us, you know how it works. We do one position every week, and we go top to bottom and familiarize you with as much as we can about that position group. And we're going to do that all the way up until, I think this year it'll be maybe 2 weeks before the home open or the week 1 game. And then we'll do some season predictions, and we'll have one more nice little episode before we get into that week 1 preview against Penn State. But this is one of the most anticipated series that we do year in and year out. So many people, and I'm not just saying this to make it sound cool, but so many people say, dude, I love position group breakdowns.
Yeah.
You guys make it so much easier to get familiarized with the team, especially now in this portal era where players come and players go, and it's nothing to add 50 new players to your roster. Right. So we appreciate that. It makes the work that we do, and there's a lot of it that goes into it, that much more worth it. Right. Because we know you guys are benefiting from it. So it's coming up super soon.
Yeah, you don't have to say, hey, what happened to this player from last year? Not only do we have the portal tracker that's on the website, but this will be in something that you can listen to or that you can watch, whichever way you like to consume our content. And we are going to tell you who graduated, who left through the portal, who exhausted eligibility, whatever, and then who came in from high school, who came in from the portal, in these specific groups. So you don't have to get bombarded with, hey, 50 left, 50 came in, 25 left, 25 came in, or whatever. We're going to be talking about, okay, we lost these 3 to graduation, this person to portal, and then here's this for a specific group. So you can familiarize yourself with this roster all summer long, and it's just going to lead right in, like you said, to the season preview episode, and then we're right into the first week. So it starts this week, and we picked up a new sponsor for that. It's going to be presented by Secure Construction, and I just wanted to welcome them and talk about them real quickly. Family owned since 2000. They have been doing roofs for the majority here for 25 plus years now in the tri-state area. 14 years in a row, they have been voted best in the tri-state when it comes to roofing. You know, everything that goes on in this tri-state area with the wind, with the storm damage, with the leaks on the roof, loose or missing shingles and all that stuff. They do it all. They don't just come out and replace a roof. They will come and give you an honest, free estimate. They will come out and do minor repairs. They will replace the entire thing, whatever. And they do asphalt shingles, they do rubber roofs, they do metal roofs. So this is not just a company of, I don't need a new roof, so I'm not going to call them. No, you call them and say, hey, we had some wind came through, and I've got, a row of shingles that are just coming up, and I'm worried that I'm going to get a leak. They do that. They'll come out, they'll give you an estimate that is free before you have to do anything. So make sure to go to secureconstruction.com. Make sure to give them a call, 304-733-1760. Secure Construction. We're going to be talking about them. We'll have some commercials that'll play during the show, but they are our presenting sponsor for this series that will last about 12 weeks.
Yeah, and like we always say, big Herd fans, we like to align ourselves with Herd fans because that's who we are, and that's who we care about. I feel like I just turned into
Tommy boy.
Yeah. I make American auto parts for the American man because that's who I am and that's who I care about. But no, seriously though, we like to align ourselves with Marshall fans because that's who we're talking to and that's who we care about. And Secure Construction Company are those guys and gals as well, big Marshall fans. So you say it every time that we talk sponsors and people that we want to align ourselves with as a podcast and as we bring on new sponsors. Herd fans like to do business with Herd fans. Everybody that we have done business with is also a Herd fan. That's not by accident. And Secure Construction is just the next partner of ours that is also huge Herd fans.
Yeah, some people watching or listening to this are going to say, Hey, I know Eddie Keller, who owns Secure Construction. I see him tailgating over here at Marshall. I've known Eddie for years. Well, now you're putting more of a face and a name of Eddie Keller with Secure Construction Company and what they do. And we're going to talk, we've been talking about roofing, but they also make sure to get safe and secure bathrooms for people when they're trying to get in and out to prevent those slips and falls. So, sorry about hitting the mic there. We are going to be talking roofing with them, and we're going to be talking about bathroom remodels to make sure that they make it secure for you. Like it says right there, home improvements in secure hands. Let them earn your trust.
Yeah, I'm so super pumped to have them as the presenting sponsor for the 2026 Marshall Football Position Group Breakdown Series. I'm excited to bring the series to you. I'm excited to bring on a new sponsor, and I know that they are excited to be the presenting sponsor of this series. Just welcome to the ThunderCast fam, man. We're glad to have you guys here. It's going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to bringing it to each and every Herd fan this season.
All right, KD, that does it. I don't have anything else. If you got anything, I'm going to take us out of here. Whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Joan, whether you see us for that epic homecoming weekend that we're already talking about, or whether you see us getting ready to do the position group breakdown series, no matter where you see us, we're always going to be saying, go Herd.
Go Herd. We'll see you guys next week. Later.